Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show. Today is Monday, January the 11th, 2021. Welcome to another life story. This is episode 4 and it's called The Bullies. Before we get started, I would like to point out, as usual, it's cloudy with no sun in our forecast whatsoever. We had our one sunny day for the month yesterday, and I went out and made a location video for you guys. I'll put a link at the end of the video. It'll be on top, either there or wherever it's going to be. And hopefully you enjoy that video as well. But today, we're going to talk about something that happened to me when I was a kid, and I call this story The Bullies. As you may know, when I was a kid, a teenager, I had various jobs. I worked in a fast food restaurant, a supermarket, a junkyard, a mall, quite a few different places. And this story has to do with the supermarket. When I first started working there, I worked in a suburban store in a relatively quiet neighborhood. And I worked there for about a year. And I got laid off along with some other kids because the company was tightening their belt. I was only out of work for about 3 days, and I got a job in another supermarket, but it was a much smaller one. The second supermarket was not a union store, where the first one was a union store. I worked in the second supermarket for approximately 4 to 6 months. And I quit there because of some issues that were going on, which I'm not going to discuss in this video, and I may not ever discuss them. Coincidentally, I was out of work for another 3 days or so when the original supermarket called me back to work. So great. I went back to work, and I worked there for another maybe few months, maybe close to a year. And what happened was they were once again going to tighten their purse strings, and they were going to close some stores this time, including the suburban store I worked in. So since we were union members, we were given the opportunity to keep our jobs, but we would have to go to a different store. At first, they had picked out a store that was north of where I was located. Another suburban store, but north. I was all set to go there when the manager that used to work in my store, who had since left, was working in what I would call an urban or inner city store. And he found out that I was available and asked if I would come and work for him in his store because he knew I was a good worker. I said, yes, of course. So I started working in this, what I will call an urban or inner city store. All the employees were the nicest people you ever met, okay? I was one of the few people that didn't live in the neighborhood. In fact, I was actually the only kid who didn't work in the neighborhood. Who didn't live in the neighborhood. The only other people were the full-time employees, the older middle-aged adults, because they were coming from all over the place. But all the kids my age lived in the neighborhood and knew each other except for me. So I was kind of like a stranger, okay? But I got along good with the people at work, made a lot of friends, and everything was cool. Now there were these 2 kids that were customers in this store. Not employees, they were customers. And to describe them, I hate to stereotype anybody, but these guys were stereotypical bodybuilders. They were, I'd say, about maybe a year or 2 younger than me. I'm going to put them at age 17, okay? Because they were still in the high school. I think they were seniors, but I'm not sure. So these 2 kids were these big hulking bodybuilders and always traveled together. You never saw one without the other. It was unheard of. It was just, they were glued at the hip, okay? And they had a bad reputation for intimidating people because of their size. They had people running scared both in the high school and locally where I worked. They would take advantage of people and they would bully them. And other employees had clued me in as to what they were about, even though I myself, up to that point, had never had any interaction with them. Okay? So, one day I was working in the liquor department, and these two muscleheads came up to me, and they said, "We want to buy," I believe it was a 6-pack of Bud. Now, I know that these guys aren't of age. I know they're 17. And I said, "Let me see your papers. Let me see your ID." And they either said to me they didn't have it or they left it home, or they might have produced a fake ID, because there were some other kids I remember vividly producing fake IDs. They were working in the print shop in school and they were banging out these fake IDs like crazy. Even though they looked 17, they were putting their age as older. So nonetheless, I knew for a fact these two kids were not of age, and my manager had warned me very sternly. He said, "Do not ever sell liquor to a minor." He said, one day in a store he used to work in, the girl that was working in the liquor department sold liquor to a minor, and it was a sting. And people from the ABC came in, all right? Wait, is it ABC? Alcohol, beverage, whatever it is. ABC, I forgot. Yeah, Alcohol Beverage Committee or whatever it is. Well, anyway, it was a sting. They came in and they arrested her and they took her out in handcuffs. And she was crying like crazy. Now, this is the story my manager told me, and I totally believed him. There's no way anybody's hooking up Joey. So I said to these two kids, "You're not old enough. You're not getting liquor." So they were pissed off. So they said, "Listen, we've bought it here before," and maybe they even threw out a name, like John Smith sold it to us, "and we want this beer." I said, "You're not getting this beer. I'm in charge of liquor department now, and you ain't getting served." And they were pissed off. So they said to me, "Joe, what time do you get off work tonight?" And you know me, when I get mad, I don't back down. I said, "I get off 9 o'clock. And they said, "Good, we'll be waiting for you in the parking lot." I said, "Good, I'd love to have the company." All right? So they stormed off mad as hell. I look up, and unbeknownst to me, several employees witnessed the altercation. 2 or 3 of them gave me one of these. They didn't want to get involved. They covered their faces and they just slinked away like whipped cats. But I didn't care. I didn't want their backup. So I start walking away from liquor, and there's a kid working on the end register. This little skinny kid, who I was pretty friendly with. And he said to me, "Joe, I heard the whole thing. It looks like you and I have an appointment tonight." And I was shocked. For a second, I couldn't even respond to him. That this little skinny kid would back me up when all these bigger guys ran for the hills. I said to him, "Listen, don't worry about it. I'll fight my own battles." And the kid said to me, "Well, I'm working till 9 o'clock and I'm walking you to your car." I said, "Listen, nothing's going to come of it." I said, "But if something does come of it, I'll handle it." So needless to say, those two kids never showed up that night to beat the crap out of me, like they promised. But something interesting did come of that. Those two kids continued to be customers in the store I worked in and never once messed with me again. They wouldn't look at me. They certainly wouldn't threaten me, even though both guys were way bigger than me. I don't understand why the two of them always worked in tandem when one of them was certainly big enough to kick butt. But the point of the story is, always stand up to a bully, all right? I will never forget these two big guys. How they threatened me. They didn't get their way. They were used to people bowing down to them because of their size. And people were scared of them. All right? I didn't care. I wouldn't sell them the beer. And I know I did the right thing. And that one skinny kid sticking up for me always stuck in my mind. Okay? And like I said, these two bullies were never seen alone. They were always together morning, noon, and night. Okay? Crazy, but true story. And guys, that is the end of my story called The Bullies. A couple of fun facts. Of all the videos I think I've ever made for you, this one has a record of me being interrupted the most times. I swear to God, I think 10 times I was interrupted making this video. In fact, the first 5 times I tried, I actually deleted the video altogether and started fresh. All right? Unbelievable, but true. So yeah, one of the things that did delay me greatly, I don't know if you can tell behind me, but the town came with the vacuum and sucked up all the leaves. Maybe I'll put a little clip of that in right now so you can see that. But anyway, guys, I'm Crazy New York Driver, and you're not. Thank you for watching Life Story Episode 4, The Bullies. Please comment your feelings on my story below. And if you want to share anything that happened to you growing up, that would be great. If you have any suggestions for any future life stories, feel free to put them in as well. I have a few topics that are ready to be discussed. And yeah, thanks for watching. Rock on and peace!